Okay, review the draft of the Van Meveren agreement. That keeps changing as we go.
It does change a little bit, and generally the changes are highlighted. So unless there's any questions on anything in particular, I'd like to focus on the highlighted areas. That being on page 20, where it's up on number 4. And this is saying that all costs associated with this project are the responsibility of the owner. Okay? The city and the owner will agree upon the total cost of the project, because there's some other things in here in regards to the connection fees for future connections, and that is all based off of total project cost. And we really need to agree on what the cost of the project is up front, because Mike has said he's going to end up doing some of the work himself, and essentially be his own general contractor. So we won't have a general contract to know what the total project is. So we do want to be able to agree on what the costs are up front. The city, this would say that the city would install electric service to the lift station panel, and that the city would directional bore under Blackhawk Road to accommodate the force main. And this would be done at no cost to Camp Van Meveren. The give and take there being, though, we had discussed the notion about having a grinder pump system there versus what they called a non-clogged lift station, and that there was that price difference between the two. If the city would agree to this electric installation, which we do anyway, we take everything up to the electric meter, and this would be a little bit into the panel. And then if the city would agree to bore that road, which is a matter of a few $100s, not the difference in pump price was like $7,000. So that's a good give and take, as far as that goes on the costs. Number 5 specifically states that the Camp Van Meveren and Mike would have the connection fee waived, the city's sanitary connection fee, which is $1,250.
That's per
hookup.
Per hookup. So
we actually have a code that would define what the connection fee would be for.
And how many hookups? How many hookups would there be out there?
Right now there's about 40. There's 40 users out there, and as we work through this, we'll see how it is proposed that we would kind of define hookups, which would basically be 3 hookups for the trailer park, 1 hookup for mine. Okay, that would kind of be the equivalent. And the other thing to know right away is that I talked with Jake McCorkle about getting Jake involved in this too, and he is very much would like to be involved with this. And if we can work out the same situation with Jake as what we'll propose with Van Meverens, he certainly would come along and start right from the beginning, which would include all the annexation. Go ahead and get connected onto the sanitary, abandon his septic there too. Okay, number 6. This is a new thing about these additional connection costs, the additional cost for additional connections. Okay. That, like we said, that the trailer park would be 3 connections, Mike would be 1 connection. Okay, and if the 5th person comes along, the 5th person would still need to pay a proportionate share of the construction costs. And that 5th person would be responsible for 1/5 of the construction cost. Okay, that 1/5 of the construction cost, though, actually goes back to those people who had already put money into the system, being in the proportionate share. So it'd go back, to Camp Van Meveren, or if Jake's in now and the 6th person comes along, Jake would be repaid his proportionate share also. So long as there is any debt outstanding to the city, this all comes back to the city to pay down the debt. If in fact that the debt is all paid off, the money would actually go back to any of the people who have bought into the system.
So how did determine the 3 that I can't?
Yeah.
Just in real rough terms as far as proportion of users. It just is not a real high user of water. Especially when you look at that over the course of an entire year, it's really not a high user of water.
Like weekend.
Yep. Talk this through with Jake. Using a project cost of $75,000. Okay, so if that's the case, his 1/5 is $15,000, and is very much interested in participating. As we talk through setting up a special assessment or loaning the money, Jake would like similar treatment on that.
So, as you talked about adding, I can't even remember the right numbers now, additional homes into the area.
Up to about another 10.
Up to 10.
Yep.
He's still going to stay in the 3 range.
Yes.
So the 6th would potentially come in with any net new. I mean, I don't know the property lines out there. I mean, what
Yeah,
would
I mean, there is nobody directly adjacent now to be the 6th person. This is just really future
between the 2 homes
stuff.
that Mike will have, right? I mean, right, the barn thing will be a home.
Yep.
And another home,
Yep.
he'll have both.
Yes.
And they both count for 1.
He did not need to pay that additional hookup.
Why?
Questions?
Because that's...
I mean, that's why we're, I guess, discussing a draft. If folks have questions or have issues about that, it's certainly subject to change.
To me, it's another home. It's going to be another year-round home, isn't it?
Or will it be his home and he abandons the current home? I mean, I guess I can't, he doesn't live in both, right? Or
Right,
won't
I
live in
mean,
both.
What's stopping him to rent it out, though?
Yeah.
Are his intentions to keep that or to get rid of that house?
That's...
I don't know. You would think each home would be a home, and I could see where the mobile home would be
A
3
fraction,
hookups,
yeah.
fraction, but I guess that's something I have to run back. If each home is a home,
There is that other cement block home, I don't know.
What is that?
Consider that a home. He used to rent that out.
It's just a kind of like cabin.
it's a cabin, that's a rental.
I think that's the question needs to be asked.
Seems a fair question.
If that's what you'd like, we'd make that change.
I don't know, I'm looking to the other council to...
Well, I just think to understand the intent of, if you intend to be full-time occupancy in both of those homes,
Mm-hmm.
I would think it would be just like anybody else's connection.
Sure. Yeah, I can understand that.
But if it's not going to be, and it's going to be abandoned or just rented
If
or...
You can rent that full-time, full year-round, so that's the thing about that. Now, if he plans on knocking it down, that's a different story completely. But I'd be really surprised that he would do that.
Well, I think he mentioned he was going to just gradually make the barn his home, but
Right.
it might be a long process.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the process will come to an end when he wants to hook up to it.
Yep, that'll be the...
Okay. Barn counts as 1 hookup? That's what
That's what he plans. That's his
Full-time
intention.
home.
Good.
Well, if nothing, that certainly be a question we'd want to address, terms of what are you going to do with it?
Sure.
It's easier to address it now than after the fact.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And then now we're going to talk about who's paying for what.
And it'll never come out good.
No, and that's exactly, this is up front.
Good.
Well, plus he's going to get his money back. We're going under paragraph 6. If they have additional hookups.
If they have additional, that's looking really long term. You just, you don't hear that discussion out there about that as a development. With a couple of, I guess, exceptions. Whether Steve Schneider and Kenny Grissom would run down the hill and hook up into the system, which could conceivably happen.